On the way to get divorced, I suddenly developed the ability to read minds. My cold-faced husband, with a frown, was crying internally, "Wah, don't leave me. My dear wife, a man like me, earning $1 million an hour, will never be returned by anyone else. If they get their hands on me without my wife, what's the point of having all these billions? Do I really have to cry in my Rolls Royce?" The story begins as we were heading to the divorce. We were overtaken by 5 bicycles. Our Rolls Royce was moving at the speed of a scooter. Is he really so unwilling to get divorced? After being honked at for the 3rd time, I couldn't help but ask him, "Do CEOs in your circle look down on divorced men?" Jonathan Pitt glanced at me, his gaze deep, then he explained as if giving a financial interview without any emotion, "No, some of us believe in never divorced, only widowed. Some are passionate about being single dads, and some enjoy the thrill of chasing their wives even if it means going through a living hell. That's me. If I can't get my wife back, I'll cry for 7 days and 7 nights." Looking at his poker face and hearing his dramatic internal monologue, my eyes lit up. I can read minds. The divorce is on hold. Let's have some fun with this man first. Jonathan Pitt, my stomach hurts. Maybe we shouldn't get divorced today. He frowned and looked at me. All right, whatever you say. My wife's stomach hurts. She probably needs to go to the bathroom. Let's head home. Go, go, go. I love how disciplined my wife is. Always on time for her business. Damn it. I glared at him, annoyed. Jonathan Pitt looked at me puzzled, but without missing a beat, he made a sharp turn and sped away, leaving behind curses from other drivers. Back home, I didn't go to the bathroom to verify if I could read everyone's mind. I ran to the backyard to test it on our husky, Piggy. Recycled old dog, broken dog, home wrecking dog. Let's trade you for a cat. After provoking it, I waited. 10 minutes passed. No reaction. Is this dog stupid, or did I not insult it enough? You son of a woof, 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 woo. Well, I didn't hear its thoughts, but I did make it cry. After calming Piggy down, I tested it on the butler and maids in the villa. Nothing. Has my mind-reading ability expired? Just when I was puzzled, I heard a heart-wrenching cry. "Wife, where did you go? This 2,400 me house is so big. I've checked even under the toilet seat and still can't find you. My heart breaks without seeing you." Me? You're the one in the toilet. Your whole family is in the toilet. Your descendants are in the toilet. Fuming, I went upstairs to find Jonathan Pitt. Sure enough, he was near the stairs on the 2nd floor. Just as I was about to speak, I realized, wait, if I scold him, he'll definitely ask why, and I won't have a legitimate reason, which would make me seem unreasonable. What if he writes a complaint about me? It might affect my future prospects. So the words got stuck in my throat, and I swallowed them back. Let's talk in the study. Jonathan Pitt and I sat facing each other in silence. His inner voice, however, was not silent. Wife wants to talk. Talk about what? If it's not about love, I'm not interested. Of course, I wasn't here to talk about love. I've been in this novel for a year. Because I've read so many novels, I wasn't scared at all when I heard Jonathan Pitt's thoughts. I was even a bit excited. According to the original plot, Jonathan Pitt and I had a business marriage. His first love, Mary Smith, had abandoned him to go abroad, and his family faced a financial crisis. In the same elite circle, the ones richer than me weren't as pretty, and the prettier ones weren't as rich. So he married me. Though we've been on the same household register for 3 years and shared the same bed for 3 years, honestly, I only treated him as a fling. After all, he has the typical CEO physique, 8-pack abs, 18 centimeters. If it weren't for the plot where Mary Smith returns in 3 days and, as the main female lead, she and Jonathan Pitt will be entangled in misunderstandings and reconciliations, and as the supporting female, I'd be doomed to a life of catching him in the ACT everywhere. There's no way I'd ask for a divorce. Playing with a man for fun is fine, but suffering because of one is not worth it. I'm now a rich heiress with wealth and beauty. I could wave my hand, and a bunch of young men would come running. There's no need to hang myself on one tree. But if Jonathan Pitt doesn't want a divorce, why did he agree? Looking at the stern Jonathan Pitt across from me, I asked, "Did you agree to the divorce because of Mary Smith?" He pursed his lips without saying a word, but his eyes were filled with displeasure. He said, "Vona Hill, we are only married in name. You're crossing the line." His inner voice, however, screamed, "I don't allow my wife to say someone else's name, not even another woman. No, 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 no." Listening to Jonathan Pitt's mental noise, I rubbed my temples, my anger rising. "Shut up." The world went quiet. I glanced at Jonathan Pitt, who appeared unchanged but internally was deeply hurt. Wife is so fierce. Wife scolded me. Wife is bad. Not talking to her for 10 seconds. Never mind. Wife is just straightforward. I did speak harshly. It's right for her to be angry. It's wrong for me to be angry. I was stunned by Jonathan Pitt's rapid mood changes. It wasn't until he said, "If there's nothing else, let's rest," and left the room that I realized, damn, I didn't get any information out of him. Forget it, I'll find another opportunity. For the next 3 days, I couldn't find a suitable chance to get Jonathan Pitt to talk. The morning Mary Smith returned to the country, I was woken up by Jonathan Pitt's inner voice. Today, I'll be a fan of my wife's sleeping face, admiring her fair skin, high nose bridge, and those lips that look so kissable. Kissing her would be even better, right? Since she's still asleep, oh no, I haven't brushed my teeth. I can't let my smelly mouth defile my sweet wife. With that, he got up to brush his teeth. I opened my eyes, speechless. I wished my mind-reading ability had an off switch. How did he not die from all this drama over the years? While eating breakfast, I asked him, "Do you have any plans today?" He put down his black coffee. Bitter. Bitterer than my fate of soon being abandoned by my wife. He spoke curtly, yes. As expected, he was going to the airport to pick her up. I felt a surge of displeasure, thinking about me while moving towards his first love. Stupid man, like an octopus. Then you go ahead. Finish your business and then we can talk about the divorce. Jonathan Pitt only paused for 2 seconds, then nodded and left with his coat. As he stepped out, I seemed to hear the sound of something breaking. I looked around, puzzled. What was that? It was his fragile heart. 3 hours had passed since Jonathan Pitt left. Walking Piggy outside, I thought he must have picked up Mary Smith by now. Soon, they'd rekindle their old flame and get caught up again. Maybe even get photographed entering a hotel together, leaving the next morning. Piggy, if Daddy and Mommy get divorced, who will you stay with? Of course, the dog ignored me. It tilted its head, its eyes full of innocent stupidity. But another voice responded. Jonathan Pitt was calling, "Verna Hill, bring me a document to the office." The top one in the second drawer of the study office. I was stunned. Jonathan Pitt went to the office. Shouldn't he be with Mary Smith? Pondering, I returned home. When I found the document Jonathan Pitt needed in the study, I glanced up and saw our wedding photo on the desk. I frowned. This didn't feel right. I distinctly remembered that the photo that used to be here was of Mary Smith. When did it get changed? It seems that ever since I developed the ability to read minds, the plot has deviated from what I remember. I felt a vague sense of worry. Arriving at Jonathan Pitt's office, I heard a wail from inside, even before opening the door. Divorce, divorce every day. She just wants a divorce. Am I really that bad? Wara, I'm already stressed enough and still have to work. I don't even like working. Work doesn't like me. I only like being with my wife. Good thing I'm clever and use the excuse of delivering documents to trick her into coming. This document has been useless for ages. With such a high IQ, no wonder I make so much money. I glanced at the document in my hand and raised an eyebrow. Pushing the door open, I saw Jonathan Pitt pretending to be busy after a frantic scramble. It reminded me of when I was a student slacking off while doing homework and suddenly my mom would burst in and I'd panic and pretend to be busy. After placing the document on his desk, I bent down to pick up a paper airplane that had fallen to the ground and put it in front of Jonathan Pitt as well. With a meaningful tone, I said, "Are there not enough company documents so you have to bring some from home to fold paper planes?" I don't know what you're talking about. Jonathan Pitt sat up straight, pretending to be oblivious, but the tips of his ears were so red they seemed like they were about to bleed. Oh no, my image is ruined. I'm supposed to be a domineering CEO who says things like, "Woman, you're playing with fire," and whose catchphrases are, "You say no, but your body says yes." With muscle memory of cornering and holding, I never confess or explain. But here I am, folding paper planes. How embarrassing. Will people still like me? What if my wife isn't captivated anymore? War. Jonathan Pitt's internal monologue was unbearable. To prevent him from further spiraling, I quickly changed the subject. Didn't you have other plans today? Jonathan Pitt glanced at his watch and nodded. Yes. Saying this, he stood up and walked out. I looked at his back with admiration. Impressive. Others work while you slack off. Others work overtime while you leave early. Just as I was thinking this, Jonathan Pitt suddenly stopped and turned his head. What are you standing there for? Come on. I looked back. No one else was around. Was he talking to me? Hyun's going to meet his first love and wants to take me, his current wife, along. Does he want me to cheer for them? This maneuver was so unexpected it almost gave me whiplash. Isn't it inappropriate for me to go? No, it's inappropriate if you don't. He said it so firmly. If I don't go, it would seem like I'm being unreasonable. Following Jonathan Pitt to a French restaurant, I was confused until we were seated. What's going on? I was just here to deliver a document, and now I'm about to experience a showdown. We waited for a while. The dishes were served, but Mary Smith hadn't arrived yet. Seeing Jonathan Pitt about to start eating, I quickly stopped him. Isn't it rude to start before everyone's here? Jonathan Pitt looked puzzled. You invited someone else? I rolled my eyes at him. Is his side job a chef? How good is he at passing the buck? Verna Hill, do you remember what day it is today? Seeing Jonathan Pitt put down his knife and fork and look serious, I blurted out, the day Mary Smith returns to the country. Oh my God, why does my wife keep mentioning Mary Smith lately? She even forgot our wedding anniversary. Is she into Mary Smith now? No way. She's a bit. My wife is such a sweetheart. How could she like her? Such bad taste, Jonathan Pitt's internal wails echoed. My left brain thought, what's going on? Isn't Mary Smith his first love? How does he know she's a green tea? According to the novel's plot, he should be having a she runs he chases, she can't escape scenario with Mary Smith. Has something strange happened to Jonathan Pitt too? My right brain thought, wedding anniversary. It seems like it really is today. Jonathan Pitt's plans were to celebrate our anniversary. Smiling awkwardly, I tried to salvage the situation with sweet words. Just kidding. Today is our wedding anniversary, right? Happy anniversary, honey. Let's eat. Wah, my wife called me honey. Her voice is better than the notification sound for an Alipay payment. With Jonathan Pitt's internal voice flooding my mind, I silently focused on my meal. Verna Hill, you're terrible. He worked hard to plan a surprise, and all you can think about is tacky betrayal plots. If there's a gift hidden in the desert, you'd be even wait what's that poking my tooth. I spit it out and saw a necklace. I'm such a jerk. He even prepared a gift. I rummaged through my pockets, shocked to find that aside from a black bank card, I had nothing valuable. I'm really a simple rich Horace. Taking out the black card, I handed it over, trying to be cool. We rich people are simple. We give money as gifts. Take this card, man, and don't come home until you've maxed it out. This counts as a return gift, right? No necklace could be more expensive than my balance, right? I instantly felt justified. Although it's a bit tacky, it's the first gift my wife has given me. I'll buy a card holder to enshrine this card. I almost forgot the main thing. I haven't discussed not wanting a divorce with my wife yet. After a moment of mental preparation, Jonathan Pitt finally spoke. Verna Hill, this past year with you has been quite nice. Would you be willing to? Jonathan was halfway through his sentence when a soft female voice interrupted. Mary Smith, what's going on? What's going on? Why is she here? Why is she here? We both exclaimed in unison. It's been a long time. Is this your wife? Hearing her words, I felt a bit nervous. Here comes the first love with hostility and agenda. Next, she'll turn the awkwardness into a chance to sit beside Jonathan Pitt, making him peel shrimp, crabs, and shells for her. And Jonathan Pitt, still resenting her for abandoning him, will refuse. The first love will look disappointed with tears in her eyes, saying to him, "Jonathan, you still blame me, don't you? We can't go back to the way things were, can we?" Under my knowing gaze, Mary Smith spoke again. "Whose fairy tale book was left open, letting such a beautiful princess like your wife out?" As she said this, she sat down beside me, affectionately holding my hand. "From a distance, you look beautiful, but up close, you're a stunning beauty. Jonathan is so lucky to wake up to such a face every day." Jonathan Pitt and I, what can I say? This first love, who is only a bit of a saint and a lovely wife in the original, seems to have turned into a lesbian. She can't win the male lead back like this. The plot is veering further off course. Typically, in online novels, in my current situation, the cold CEO has become chatty, the sweet first love has turned into a lesbian. I'm the only one still struggling to follow the plot and make room for them by getting divorced. Is this appropriate? Will this world collapse? If it does, I'll have to go back to my original world and work a 9-to-5 job. I don't want to lose my current life as a rich Aries, shallow yet carefree. During the meal, the three of us, one ate with gritted teeth, one ate contentedly, one ate nervously. Finally, when we all put down our cutlery, the meal was over. Just as we reached the restaurant door, I suddenly needed to use the restroom. When I returned, I saw Jonathan Pitt cornering Mary Smith against the wall. From a distance, they seemed to be arguing about something. I rubbed my hands in excitement. Is the plot finally returning to normal? Will I not be sent back? They should be having an emotional exchange as described in the original. Jonathan Pitt will say something harsh, and Mary Smith will respond with sweet words. Then Jonathan Pitt will kiss her passionately, releasing all the longing from these years. Right? Sure enough, Jonathan Pitt got closer to Mary Smith, but wait, Jonathan Pitt, what are you doing to the heroine? She's suffocating. I hurriedly ran over and rescued Mary Smith from Jonathan Pitt's grasp. She coughed and said weakly, "I'm sorry, sister. It's my fault. I shouldn't have kept staring at you. Don't blame Jonathan. I just never saw someone so beautiful before. That's all, sister." So now I'm her sister, not Jonathan Pitt's wife. I looked at Mary Smith with amazement. She really is such a bit. She's such a bit. She said I was dull and unworthy of my precious wife, convincing me to divorce and leave my wife single. That's why I laid hands on her. She's the one driving a wedge between my wife and me. I was bewildered. Was I mistaken? Have the male and female leads both fallen for me? This whole situation was off, way off. I was supposed to be in a typical CO novel. For the next few days, I tried my best to match Mary Smith and Jonathan Pitt together to restore the plot to its original course. This led to them pulling each other's hair 3 times, arguing 5 times, and splashing coffee on each other 7 times. Forget it, it's too difficult to fix. I'm here to enjoy life, not endure torment. Most people can't even dream of being this wealthy for a year. I should be satisfied. So I decided to let things slide. Later, Mary Smith would often arrange for us to accidentally meet. Unlike the original storyline where we made things difficult for each other, we sat together amicably, having afternoon tea and chatting about the man we both knew. Jonathan has a bit of a temper, a bit of a dull personality, and is quite boring, but he's good in other ways. Jonathan never complimented you on your beauty. How mean of him. Unlike me, who just hates that I can't fully describe your charm. How could Jonathan not cherish someone as wonderful as you? Well, how to put it? People don't hate green tea. They hate not being the one they flirt with. Now I'm being flirted with, and it feels great on the other side. Jonathan Pitt's resentment towards Mary Smith grew every day. I woke up to his grumbling thoughts. Mary Smith is so audacious, flirting all over the place. Doesn't she have her own targets? Why must she come for mine? Her mouth is like it's smeared with something nasty, always bad-mouthing me in front of my wife to make herself look better. Is she Piggy's long-lost daughter? She's such a... I need to ask Piggy about this. Listening to Jonathan Pitt's morning routines, I sighed silently. Their characters had deviated so much. For a whole month, they constantly clashed. All I wanted was to live quietly as a rich lady. Whether the male and female leads were abusing or fighting each other, I didn't want to be involved. So let's get divorced. I arranged another trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Jonathan Pitt, but this time he didn't agree. I'm busy lately. Let's wait. Busy with what? I looked at him speechlessly. Brother, you haven't been to the office in 3 days. Your family's business hasn't gone bankrupt only because of the main character's halo, right? Sure enough, the male lead in CEO novels does everything but work. I complained internally about Jonathan Pitt and complained about Mary Smith. It's definitely that little green tea, Mary Smith, instigating this. She wants to push me aside and take over. I can't let her get away with this. Hearing this, I was shocked. They are all my admirers. Can't we all just get along peacefully? If they fought, I'd be stuck chewing sunflower seeds and chips, feeling troubled. A few days later, I witnessed how Jonathan Pitt set Mary Smith up. Other CEOs would torment the heroine by cutting out kidneys, gouging out eyes, or sending them to prison. Our CEO introduced her to 5 suitors, busying beautifying her to death. Who gets it? These 5 suitors were a pure school heartthrob, an aesthetic elite, a handsome movie star, a sunny boy next door, and how is there a stay-at-home dad? Isn't it every girl's dream to become a mother painlessly? Jonathan Pitt asked me with confusion. Suddenly, he made sense. With that logic, the stay-at-home dad wins bonus points. I voted for the stay-at-home dad. On the day Mary Smith went on a date, Jonathan Pitt and I tagged along. One to enjoy the drama and the other to adjust plans as needed. Each date went smoothly. By the time she met the boy next door, Mary Smith was smitten, smiling crazily, lowering her head to giggle, and sneaking peeks. Her whole face looked like a blooming sunflower. Frivolous. Hearing Jonathan Pitt suddenly speak, I was startled. What a woman like Mary Smith might never understand loyalty in her life. No, unlike Koff, never mind. Unlike me, my heart and eyes only have my wife. My wife is the sky, the earth, and naturally beautiful. Sigh, why am I too shy to say it out loud? I quickly perked up my ears. I heard it. Both ears heard it. After finishing the dates with all 5 men, Mary Smith came to us with a frown. Sigh, sister, it's so hard to choose. They're all so good. I can't pick one. I patted Mary Smith's shoulder, about to speak, but Jonathan Pitt beat me to it. If you type fast enough, you can do a 1v5. Mary Smith and I were shocked. Mary Smith was delighted. You're right. Why choose? As an adult, I want them all. So I watched as Mary Smith sent love applications to all 5 men, starting her journey as a notorious playgirl. Good luck, sister. Ever since Mary Smith seriously started dating, Jonathan Pitt was in high spirits every day. Although he didn't say it out loud, his inner voice revealed everything. At night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I was woken up by Jonathan Pitt's internal voice. Missing you in the night. I hope you can be by my side. Wonder if you will change your heart. Oh, missing you in the night. Hey, shut up. I sat up abruptly, turning on the bedside lamp. I seriously looked at this human CD player beside me. Is he that happy? He sings while brushing his teeth, eating, using the bathroom, taking a shower, and even in the middle of the night. Is he showing off his extensive music library? I didn't say anything. Jonathan Pitt looked at me innocently. Let me love you once again. Let love return to the beginning. He continued singing in his mind while pretending to be innocent. I couldn't stand it any longer and bit down on him. Bite you, you annoying pest. I missed the mark and ended up biting his lip. Vanna, that night, I experienced the typical domineering CEO package again. Afterward, I lay exhausted on the bed. Not divorcing was the right choice. He still has some use. Since no one else wants him now, I might as well keep him. Since that night, Jonathan Pitt seemed to come out of hibernation, clinging to me every day. One day, while we were on the sofa, the door suddenly opened. The person who opened the door was Mary Smith. In this situation, as the main female lead in First Love, she should have said, Jonathan, I just tried the password, and the door opened. Does this mean you still have feelings for me? Otherwise, why would you still use my birthday as the password? But Mary Smith wasn't an ordinary person. She cried while saying, "Why, Jonathan Pitt, you're so scummy. The door password is still my birthday. How can you do this to sister?" "I'm sorry, I came at the wrong time." We hurriedly adjusted our clothes and looked at her expressionlessly. Jonathan Pitt, being interrupted in the middle of something, was very displeased and said harshly, "I'll change it right away." "What are you doing here, breaking into a private residence? Do you want to go to jail?" Hearing this, Mary Smith immediately ran to me, hugging my waist and crying, "Brother is so fierce." Unlike me, who never raises my voice. My hand moved on its own, wrapping around Mary Smith. Girls are so soft, much nicer to hug than Jonathan Pitt. I wanted to hold her a bit longer, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jonathan Pitt going from gritting his teeth to helpless and then suddenly having an idea. He seemed to be planning to call the police, so I quickly pushed Mary Smith away and started mediating. All right, let's all calm down. What's going on?" Hearing me say that, Mary Smith cried even harder. She really messed up the 5 men. Not only did they discover each other, but they also formed a group chat, collectively condemning her. Every time she brought different people to KFC, even the staff couldn't take it anymore and exposed the truth. Poor and trying to date handsome guys, go home and play home games to get your fix. After hearing her story, I felt deeply sympathetic. I quickly asked her, "So which one tastes better, the Oran's or the spicy crispy chicken?" "The Oran's is always the best." "Verna, you're focusing on the wrong thing." Jonathan Pitt gently tugged at my sleeve to remind me. Realizing my mistake, I nodded and began to comfort Mary Smith seriously. Just as I was about to calm her down, Jonathan Pitt interjected. "Mary Smith, you're so dumb. Even elementary school kids can handle 5 subjects at once, but you, as if seeking, can't manage 5 men." His words were incredibly insulting. Mary Smith forgot her fragile green tea persona and started shouting at Jonathan Pitt, hands on her hips. "You're just a loudmouth gourd. You may not be a bad person, but you're domineering, repressed, expressionless, and sharp-tongued. Apart from having a handsome face and some money, what makes you think you're worthy of my sister?" The domineering CEO trope is outdated. Nowadays, everyone loves the sweet boys. Even dogs wouldn't want a CEO, especially one with a first love. The crematorium is your final destination. I wanted to point out that the crematorium is everyone's final destination, but Mary Smith's anger was so intense that even Piggy's bark earned a scolding from her. So I quietly swallowed my words. Jonathan Pitt was so devastated by Mary Smith's tirade that he didn't sing for several days. I started giving him pep talks. "Jonathan Pitt, why don't you talk much?" Jonathan Pitt gave me a strange look. "What nonsense. All CEOs are like this. Talking too much isn't cool." He added in his mind, "Chatterboxes can be cute too. Why can't you just be yourself?" Jonathan Pitt was stunned. How did you know?" Patting his shoulder, I decided to push him to a breaking point. After all, only by hitting rock bottom can one rise again. "I can hear your thoughts." "Hiya, shut up. My ears are going to explode." I covered his mouth, but the screams didn't stop. Sighing, I remembered it was his inner voice, so I moved my hand and kissed Jonathan Pitt on the lips. And then, great. The world was silent. "So you don't find me annoying?" "A man who talks too much isn't stable. Where did this stereotype come from? Women must be virtuous, and men must be cold." I frowned in displeasure. I hated cliched characters in novels. Every CEO had the same personality, just with different names. They all had chiseled faces, deep cello-like voices, and never explained anything, using their hands only to torment the heroine. I was disgusted when I read the book. Thank goodness the characters crumbled after I arrived. Wait, why did the characters crumble so much? Is there some hidden setting I don't know about? After all, I abandoned the book after reading only a few chapters. What else did the author write? Terrified by my thoughts, I immediately called Mary Smith over to discuss the current situation. In the familiar living room with familiar people, I first asked Jonathan Pitt how he knew Mary Smith wasn't as innocent as she seemed. "I didn't know at first, but one day Piggy ran too fast and I fell." "Don't laugh, Verna. You just said not all CEOs have to be perfect. After I fell, I unlocked the subsequent plot. Verna, do you know that later I would divorce you for that green tea, Mary Smith? Seeing Jonathan Pitt's incredulous expression, I was very calm. Yes, I know because I transmigrated into a book. You two are the male and female leads of a sadistic novel. According to the book, you both would torture each other for hundreds of chapters. I couldn't stand it and stopped reading. Mary Smith nodded frantically. Yes, yes. I died in the previous life from being both physically and emotionally tortured by Jonathan Pitt. I ate my grief away and ended up bursting after reincarnating. I decided to avoid Jonathan Pitt at all costs with money and beauty. Why not cling to a beautiful and kind sister like Verna? That made sense. No wonder Mary Smith clung to me so much from the start. You still know too little. Do you know what I did after Mary Smith died? I discovered all of Verna's good qualities and won her back. Ha ha ha, me and Mary Smith, you're such a jerk. After piecing together the clues I gave them, I provided a summary. So you two are the mentally unstable leads. The female lead is too masochistic, always forgiving the abuser and pleading with them not to harm others. The male lead is too dumb, believing anyone who said bad things about the female lead, repeatedly misunderstanding her. The book was so disliked due to its unappealing characters that readers cursed the author, who had to switch the female lead midway, making me the former wife, the new lead. I wasn't perfect, but at least I wasn't that bad. However, the plot twist was too abrupt. Mary Smith's death was too hasty, and Jonathan Pitt's change of heart was too quick, causing cracks in this world. Hence, everything got messed up. I transmigrated, Jonathan Pitt unlocked future plot lines, and Mary reincarnated. Fortunately, with this restart, we're all normal now. A chatterbox CEO, a green tea female lead, and a lazy rich girl supporting character. Perfect. Amid applause, I made a cut gesture. Now I have two last questions. First, I looked at Jonathan Pitt, eyes sharp. When did you unlock the future plot? A few days before you asked for a divorce. So you skipped the torment part and fell in love with me in the future. No wonder you suddenly replaced the photo in your study with our wedding photo. Jonathan Pitt nodded furiously. But if you liked me, why agree to the divorce? Want to try being unfaithful? Jonathan Pitt glared at Mary Smith in disgust. No way. Wife, you can insult my character, but not my taste. I'd never like someone like Mary Smith. I'll always be your loyal dog. I agreed. I agreed to the divorce because a man shouldn't force his will on his loved one. Whatever my wife wants, she gets. Besides, there's a cooling off period for divorce. If I don't agree, then it won't happen. Try appealing. Guess what? I still won't agree. Hee hee. This time Mary Smith, and I applauded. Clever move, you loudmouth gourd. Second question. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. By messing around like this, will we cause the world to collapse and everyone dies together? Their faces turned pale. I burst into laughter. Shared misery is better than suffering alone. I've lost so much hair over this. You won't lose any less. That night, we all had a collective dream. In it, a veiled woman was speaking gibberish. My dear ones, I was wrong. I shouldn't have written brainless sadistic romances. Cold violence as male charm is nonsense. The saintly heart as female charm is nonsense. Let stereotypes and female rivalry go to hell. Sincerity is the true killer move. Thank you for your awakening. It taught me what to write. Don't worry. Many people love you now. The world won't collapse. Lastly, Verna, darling, Mom supports you being with Mary. Beauty should be with beauties. I woke up to Jonathan Pitt's grumbling. Get lost. I'm legally married. Shipping everything only harms you. I guess the voice we heard was from the author. The world wouldn't collapse. And with that worry gone, we all let go of our contradictory personas and started living freely. A year into our marriage, Jonathan Pitt and I suddenly entered a honeymoon phase. He whispered sweet nothings in my ear daily, complained to me first if any girl at work showed interest, and called his mom to pick up her lipstick if it appeared in his car, warning her not to be careless. See a talkative CEO? How delightful. And I no longer heard his thoughts because his mouth was chatter enough. For instance, early one morning, clingy Jonathan Pitt brought over 2 shirts. Wife, should I wear the pink shirt to work or the blue one? Looking up from watching The Legend of Jean Wan, I glanced at him and quoted a classic line. Pink is delicate, but how old are you now? Jonathan Pitt left dejectedly, muttering, she thinks I'm old. Not talking this time. Definitely not talking for a long time. If my wife doesn't coax me, I won't make up with her. 10 minutes later, he came back looking frustrated, sighing. I softened my tone. Honey, you're the handsomest. Wear the blue one. It suits you better. But he suddenly leaned in, his hand caressing the back of my neck. You know how to coax me, right? With that, he deepened the kiss. That day, Jonathan Pitt never made it to work in the blue shirt. Fortunately, he was the boss, so no one docked his pay. On the other hand, Mary Smith, after her dating fiasco, had been aimlessly wandering. Seeing her for the 18th time strolling down the street, I couldn't stand it anymore and got her a job at one of my invested companies. I used to be in venture capital in my previous life. Being this rich, I couldn't help but invest in a few companies, and they all did quite well. Annoying, right? Once she started working, Mary Smith abandoned her brief stint with a romantic brain. She even told us to call her Madam Mary Smith. CEO me? Question mark. You're just entry level. Who made you CEO? Mary Smith and Jonathan Pitt didn't get along well in this life. She constantly snatched business from Jonathan Pitt's company and won every time. Who would have guessed the female lead with a romantic brain was actually a business genius? Afterward, Jonathan Pitt lamented, business talent has nothing to do with gender. Will I, the top tycoon, have to make way for Mary Smith in a few years? I shook my head mysteriously. No. Realize the truth. You two are working for me. 3 months later, Jonathan Pitt, having been outmaneuvered in business too much, had some free time. He started planning a new wedding for me. Unlike the novel's grandiose depiction of spending billions, inviting countless celebrities, and firing salutes, our wedding was modest and simple. Like any ordinary families, we invited close friends and chatted about trivial matters in front of everyone. I walked down the aisle to Jonathan Pitt. During the vows, he said, my name is Jonathan Pitt, but chasing my wife hasn't been easy. My wife's name is Verna Hill, but she's anything but weak, holding my life in her hands. This story tells us that naming is an art not to be taken lightly. Off topic, cough, back on topic. Wife. When I was little, I always wondered whether to be a writer or a scientist when I grew up. This question troubled me for over 20 years until I met you. I realized I wanted to be your husband. Hearing Jonathan Pitt's affectionate declaration, I quickly covered his mouth. This time, my hand was enough. I never dreamed that my first wedding would be ruined by Jonathan Pitt's mouth. He's now corny, funny, and silly. Oh well, better than a loudmouth gourd. Finally, I glanced at Mary Smith, dressed as a business elite. I smiled. Not bad. We're all normal now. This trip into the book wasn't in vain.